Hello, everyone. We can go ahead and get started today. Thank you all for joining us for this Learning and Growing 2021 presentation on integrating recent research into teaching. My name is Sarah Chandler. I'm a member of the training and support team here at Hawks Learning, and our presenter today is Professor Dong Shi. Dong Shi earned his bachelor and master's degree in psychology in China and his PhD in counseling psychology from Ohio State University in 2004. He has been teaching at the Department of Psychology and Counseling at University of Central Arkansas since then. Professor Shi's research interests include cross-cultural research on psychological distress. We will have a live Q&A session with Professor Shi today, so please enter any questions you may have in the Q&A as we go, and we will get to them at the end of the presentation. So on that note, I will go ahead and hand it over to our presenter.
Thank you, Sarah, for introducing me, and welcome. Good afternoon for those of my colleagues and attend this webinar. I cannot see you, but I like to see you, but the setting does not allow me to talk face-to-face to you, which I would like to, but that's okay. I'm going to share some of my thoughts, ideas regarding this topic, how to incorporate research into our teaching. I think that's an important topic. I'd like to share some of my experience, some ideas, but I'm not sure if I could make this more interactive since I don't see you. Maybe you can type with me. I can see your response. I intend to make this responsive. I do have some slides to share with you. They can be available. I can send to Sarah and in whatever way, or you can contact me individually. I can send that to you as well. There's some links there in the slides, and I think they're good resources, and so you may want to keep. Anyway, I'm going to share my screen with you for my slides, and here we go. Can everyone see my screen? I believe.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. And so integrating recent research in teaching. This is actually was part of the professional development of teaching series in my department here at the University of Central Arkansas. In our department, we developed this teaching series, the professional development of teaching series that the faculty needs to choose some topic and to present with our colleagues regarding teaching issues, and intends to improve our teaching effectiveness. So that's a part of originally where this topic came from. But I also want to share with you something that may not seem directly related to this topic, that what made me originally like interested in this topic. Okay, so what originally made me want to do this is actually it's about the textbook. I've been teaching here in college in my university for 16, 17 years. I received a lot of textbooks, okay? And my impression is the textbook are so frequently updated, okay? A new book coming out, 3 or 4 years, newer edition come out, okay? So I happened to find a survey. The survey say about 70% of the publishers, and they publish newer editions of textbook, averagely every 3 to 4 years. So what do you think? Are this new? I believe there, even though I don't see you, do you think this newer editions coming too frequently? Okay, I see a Chinese, 很高兴. Okay, that's Chinese. Thank you, Henry. Thank you very much. What do you think? Do you think it's too frequent? Or are these newer editions justified? Okay, what do you think? Okay, yeah, Sarah, yeah, can you and somebody raised hand? Can we have
Yeah, let me see if
how we can talk, have other colleagues talk?
I can, if you wanted to speak, I can hit allow to talk next to your name.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. I like you if that's okay with you. Yeah.
yeah, I just went ahead and did that for you, Henry. I saw that you had your hand raised.
Oh, thank you. I was just thinking
Thank
that
you,
yes,
Henry.
for some of our students, the cost of frequent new textbooks, instead of being able to get a used textbook, can be a little bit prohibitive and make it really difficult for them to always get a new book. Now, I understand new information comes out often, but some of the historical things are in an introductory class, especially some of those older research studies are 80% of what's being taught. So maybe for some of the things it's too frequent.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. I thank you very much. And I don't know who was talking, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Is that Henry? Is that Henry or?
对啊，我是
Okay.
Henry.
Okay, all right. And you know some Chinese, Mandarin? It's, I can see 很高兴认识你. Oh, very good.
一点点。
一点点. Good to know that. Anyway, thank you for your response. I agree, and I saw other colleagues, and depending on specific area, economics, yes, that changed so frequently. We need to reflect that. I'm in psychology, to be honest. I just personally do not feel it is that justified. You know, I have many additions, you know, and I compare sometimes as a. So there another survey and to survey general faculty with respect to their reactions to this, and 76 of those surveyed faculty, they believe that releasing newer editions only can be justified half of the time or less. And more than half of the faculty said it's rarely to never justified. I think that's really depending on specific areas. Some may be easily justified, a more frequent release of newer edition, and some may not. Okay, and so I see Eric said basic physics example of field where frequent updates are not necessary. Yeah, that's right. You know, we're teaching undergraduate physics and principles and those stuff. You know, how likely every 3 to 4 years there's a breakthrough of theory. You know, it's so. Anyway, this is where I'm interested in this topic is because I believe that many of the students, even though I require them to use the newer, most recent edition, I know they're not, and they're using older editions. So in psychology, I believe when newer editions are added, or published, or released, I think the most of those updated contents coming from research. Okay, some newer research, new studies, and theory-wise, framework-wise, you know, maybe every 5 10 years, maybe there are new theory, but the same thing. Not exactly the same like physics. I think we're in middle between physics and economics, where economics is necessary. We frequently update, okay, because economic change fastly. But psychology, I believe, is in between. So I know my students, they are using older editions. I cannot, you know, forbidden them to, you know, kind of not allow them to use. It's I have no control. But I think if they're using older editions, how am I going to help those students with some of the most recent research? So that motivated me to think about how I can integrate recent research in my teaching. So today, I'm identify some various ways to effectively integrate recent studies into teaching. I have some resources here that could help all of us and better integrate those. Okay, I put some reflective questions. I hope we can discuss. To what extent do you think recent research should be incorporated in teaching? I used to think, oh, teaching is teaching. We're teaching whatever is there, textbook. Okay, at the beginning, when I start my career here as a professor, I didn't think much of kind of research, or it's just a part of it. But later on, I think maybe that's not enough. Okay, I need to deliberately kind of find something to incorporate, some research incorporate in my teaching. And how much you feel you have incorporated most of the recent studies, research into your teaching? Or what are some of the ways you have been using to do this, some of the strategies? Any reactions, any comments, or to those reflective questions? Anyone would jump, can share with me what do you think? Or what are some of the ways you have thoughts, or you have used? All right, so that anytime jumping, let's discuss. Again, I intend this to be more interactive and not a lecture. No, not at all. And so I just want to share with. Okay, so when we looking at a topic, integrate research into teaching, what does it mean? I think it means several things for me. First, I think about research-informed teaching. Okay, it's just my teaching, the method, the way I'm teaching. Do I have some evidence? So far, nowadays, we tend to call everything evidence-based. I'm in counseling and psychotherapy field. We call it the evidence-based practice of psychotherapy. And in teaching, yeah, we're talking about evidence-based teaching or research-based practice. So is my teaching research-based? The way, the assignment, or syllabus, okay, is that has some research support for those. Here are several of the resources I use that I feel they're helpful for me. That where I got this evidence base for my teaching, how I modify my teaching. For me, for example, I focus on relationship. That I develop a relationship with my student. How am I going to develop a teaching learning relationship? And the research show, even in teaching, and that is important, just like in psychotherapy or counseling, a relationship between therapist and client are so critical. The same thing in teaching. Research show that is also important. So I try to, how am I going to think about ways to maintain a good relationship with my students, make myself available, office hour, flexibility, and so that is research-based. And I use those resources. Teaching of Psychology is a good journal. Okay, I think I need to share the whole screen with you for me to, give me just a second, let me reshare this with you, okay. Share the whole screen. Give me just a second and sharing here the whole screen. Here we go. Okay. Here are some, this is the journal, Teaching of Psychology. It is the official journal of APA Division II, Society for Teaching of Psychology. They publish research regarding method practice of teaching psychology, undergraduate, graduate level courses. I frequently read articles from this journal and incorporate some of the research findings in that I can use to incorporate to inform me the way I teach. The scholarship of teaching and learning in psychology, it is an APA journal. Here it is, and similar. Some good research, good studies. I can learn. I can. So help me modify my teaching methodology, and also kind of sometimes use the Chronicle of Higher Education. They talk about, give some advice, and also sometimes kind of review some of the studies. Also, I feel like it would be nice, particularly for newer professors or for those who are to become a professor in college. When you look for a job or you apply for a faculty job, you always are required to provide a statement of your teaching philosophy. So I think it would be nice if your teaching philosophy is evidence-based. You can incorporate some research. So this is the first, when we talk about integrating research in teaching, I think this is the first thing I can think of. I can think of how to use research to inform my teaching. And actually, I found there's a CERTL. I'm not sure if you're aware of this. There's a organization, association called a Center for the Integration of Research, Teaching, and Learning. So this association focuses on STEM, college undergraduate education of STEM. But many of the principles and regarding integration of research, learning, and teaching are also applicable to where is here it is. Okay, here is the website for this CERTL, called CERTL. I think good resources. You can join this. They have talks. They have so I think it would be nice, and kind of you can get a lot from this. I include this link in my slides. You can come back and visit more of this. Let me take a look. Okay. Oh yeah, I saw folks still talking about the additions. Okay. Good. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. When we come back to those comments, thank you for putting out their comments, sharing with your thoughts on that. All right. Okay. So this is the first. When I think about incorporating research in teaching, that's the first thing I can think of. But then, in my practice, again, how I'm going to get a research, incorporate them in my teaching, and so students can benefit from those. So I mainly do this through homework assignment. So I basically assign some homework. The homework involves reading assignment, reading most recent research. Want to give you an example. This is from my syllabus. I was teaching in the spring semester. I was teaching counseling practicum. Okay, and so it is important. Nowadays, we'll talk about evidence practice. So I found in my practicum earlier, when I didn't do this, I found students just do practicum. They just seeing clients in their practicum place, and sometimes they don't kind of frequently visit the academic journals to inform, okay, their practice. Of course, we have a course called evidence-based treatment, but I feel that's not enough. So I just literally require them, okay, just identify a client, identify an issue of that client that you don't feel confident, that you don't have a lot of knowledge or skills with respect to that clinical issue. Then go to the literature, go to the database, okay, find some of the most recent research, discussion on that clinical issue, and then write a summary of reading. I require them to, for each issue, they have to at least read 2 sources of article or research, right? And then prepare a summary and relate that, the results, the conclusion or implications they got from that article, relate that to their actual client. And they have to talk about how I'm going to apply those with my client. And they have to talk about this in group supervision. So I feel this is a kind of a good way, to help my client, my students, kind of to use research to really practice evidence practice. Okay, we're not just saying, oh, evidence practice. They have to actually engage in this process. Okay, so just an example for me to do this. I also subscribe some research digest, a few of them, like a psychiatric advisor. That's in my, I'm in psychology, I'm in counseling. Some of the articles published on this. They review this website. They review those research. So I feel that's a kind of a good. I subscribe their email, and they frequently send me some email. If this is something related to the subject matter I'm teaching, I would put the link in my Blackboard. Okay, and so psychiatric advisor is one of those I frequently use. And just an example, I think is here. They summarize research studies, and sometimes they have expert talk. This is some new, about COVID-19 question and answer with Dr. Judd Brewer. The doctor talk about research. Okay, and so I just easily put that link in my Blackboard and encourage students to read. And sometimes you can assign assignment related to those links. So that is another way for them to know those recent research through homework assignment. But there, in my earlier, when I present this with my colleague here at our department, one of a professor in our department kind of pointed out a caution, a pitfall, that is if you just focus on single research, and is the newly published single study valid or adequate for certain conclusions? Okay, well, that's a good idea. Think about a textbook, and think the author of the textbook would kind of examine, would kind of take a look at the quality of the research, and they should have selectively put the research in their newer editions. But as a professor, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to examine how valid, the conclusion, is that adequate, for certain conclusions. Okay, but student may not take that way. Student, oh, that's a public research, that must be the case, and so that might be a pitfall. So you may want to take a closer look. I know we don't have time to thoroughly examine, even though they're all peer-reviewed, but we will know some peer-reviewed article may not. There's some methodological limitations, and so we may want to warn the students when we do this. Okay, so just for them to know their research on that, but that may not be the conclusion. So that is something I can think of. Okay. The third, we talk about incorporate teaching in research, incorporate research in teaching as research-informed teaching? And secondly, how am I going to incorporate that and to present to students for students' benefit? And the third thing I can think of is teaching as a research. How you can develop teaching of a class as a potential research project. You know, as a fact, I know you do research and you have your own areas of research, and maybe that's not related to teaching, but see if you can turn your teaching as a research project. For example, this is something I haven't done, but I'm planning to do maybe. For example, if you teach 2 sections of a course, maybe you test, in one section you use this teaching method, and the other use a different. See how they may be different. Okay, and so that could be a research, all right, and do some research on teaching. You can contribute to that journal, Teaching of Psychology. So that is something I can think. You may want to plan. You may want to relate. You relate your research area to the subject matter you're teaching and to the teaching method you're using. So I think about it. So there, the Circle, the website I shared with you a moment ago, they actually have this kind of a talk. I think is they said planning your teaching as research project, how to develop that. So if you're interested, you can go through this and take a look of some of the resources I think are helpful. So this is the third way, is to try to turn your teaching as a research project, not just restrict your research in your originally research program. Be open, keep it open. I think that would be a good idea. And the last aspect, the thoughts I have been giving is how am I going to involve students in research? Okay, and you may be teaching an undergraduate course, depending on the level. Okay, maybe introduction level, maybe a little bit higher. For me, I'm teaching higher level, like Evidencebased psychology, and that is the third year or the senior year level of undergraduate course. Most of the courses I teach is a graduate level. So I've been thinking of how am I going to get students involved? Okay, so pay attention that cultivate a student's research interest. Okay, you're not just teaching, all right, and you're also train them as a potential scholar. Cultivate, encourage them to develop some research interest. The second thing is help them to enhance their research self-efficacy. Student research self-efficacy itself is a research topic. And as a matter of fact, my advisee, Corey Cobb, and he already graduated from our program. This is from his dissertation. His dissertation focused on advisees' research self-efficacy. And we found that how through relationship, advisory relationship, how that advisory relationship, we can transmit that relationship, and eventually to increase the advisees' self-efficacy. And research has shown student research self-efficacy is very important. So help them to enhance their own research self-efficacy. Encourage students to develop their own research project as much as possible. Okay, so this is something I put how to involve students. Okay, so this is something I've been thinking. It's far from finished. It's a ongoing project. I need to work more, but this is something I'm interested. I think it's an important topic. I would like to share with. Anybody would like to share your experience with what I just talked about? Okay, let me stop sharing so maybe we can.
Yeah, if anyone wants to speak up, you can raise your hand and then I can unmute you. And we
Yes,
also have
yeah.
the Q&A box if you wanted to put any questions or thoughts in there as well.
Let me see my email. My email, where I put this, my email. Let me see. I'm not very familiar. My email, done. Okay. Answer. Animated. Let me see. And I've told you the background for assignment. Also good. Get students to do research. Good. I'm reading, David Consortium for the Advancement Undergraduate Statistics Education. Oh, good. There's another. Okay, good. For mathematics, good reference statistics. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm reading this, the resources you put in the chat box, and good to know. Good to know. Yeah, the slides will be available. Yeah, someone, David asked me my email. I don't have a place to type. I just cannot. Maybe I'm not very good at this. Where I'm going to, my email is dxie, my initial, my dong dxie@uca.edu. That's my email. I'm sorry. Where I can type is answer this.
You can type in the chat to all.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was stuck at a Q&A, and there's no place for me to. Okay, this is my email. Feel free to, yeah, that's hang out, that's communicate, call me. I would enjoy it. Kind of, we can do more on this. Any other thoughts that? Thank you for sharing those resources regarding in mathematics teaching, and that is good. I'm in psychology. My specialty is in counseling. So any other thoughts or ideas or comments? And yeah, just email me. I will send to you, David. I will send you those my slides to you, and so the links is there. Okay. Yeah, I was taught that in teaching. Okay. Good. Anyone would like to grab the mic and maybe share with your experience? Okay, I think, I said a cognitive domain, psychomotor, okay, affective domain, okay, when teaching, all right. In teaching, yeah. Good, yeah,
So Dong,
yeah,
I'm thankful for your talk today. It's very beneficial, to be honest.
Thank you.
I've learned few things from you. I just want to share one way of doing research-led teaching is at least put 10 latest articles in every lesson I teach, where I take latest research and I embed it in my teaching within probably the given time, the 40 or 50 minutes that I have. Remember, we don't have enough time to dive into, and the amount of, as a doctor or that level where you can understand faster than a student would understand, and with the limitations, so you try to, but you provide them these, and you would say, my usual approach is I provide them this, but then I would give them about half an hour.
Okay.
Somewhere where they can come and discuss with me any published article that I suggested or of theirs. Not always successful, but I know who comes to me end up on top of the class because they end up researching and studying beyond what I give them. And that's where I'm always pleased to go the extra mile. But with your expertise today, it gave me some advantage, I think, of how to tweak the class a bit more and permit them to go for more research intensive. I wouldn't want to say research-led teaching. I would want to reach a point, research-intensive teaching,
Yes.
where when they look at an article, they're more equipped, maybe not understand it fully, but appreciate it. That professor, whoever has done that research, has taken a lot of time and devotion to come up with innovative way of learning or something that they need to understand.
Yes.
And probably over time, I think they can reach that level of appreciation. But I would really like to thank you a lot for today. It's very helpful. I wanted to share with you how I try to approach the research-led teaching, okay?
Thank you.
And I do not rely only on books. I think books are essential as a core, and we cannot avoid that. But I think sometimes an article brings you this extra step that you cannot find it in a book. You just need it and you need to make it. And sometimes I highlight it in yellow.
Good.
And if I think it's important, I make it what I call supplementary for them. So when I refer back at the end of the session, I also make it supplementary. Now, the other thing that I really would like your opinion, which I think in our university, that they're coming across, or at least I received an email that they're saying, and I don't know if they're trying to put it head on tail or, reverse it. So I'll read excerpts from it and hopefully get your opinion, expert on this. So what they are trying to say here is simply, sorry, 1 second. Let me see. The school would like to support staff to evidence teaching innovations, sharing good practice and pedagogical scholarship. This means that there is some financing available to organize something. Now that's something I don't know. So what they want to is to try to get the initiative in pedagogy and teaching, but how could I start to see if I can be more inclusive with students, get more students to appreciate what I'm doing for them, and get them more successful? Because I think in your field where psychology is the core, I like N, so I cannot read what they might be, but I always am happy when I see a student is excelling, going beyond just the book itself, but starting from the book somewhere. Okay, good. And I'd really appreciate your opinion.
Yeah, thank you. I don't see your name. Is Dr. Salam or?
Yeah, you could call me that.
Okay, Doctor, thank you. I appreciate your response. I appreciate your efforts. Actually, you have been actually doing for your students. Spend a lot of time talking with them about the studies they read. I think that's really excellent. First of all, I don't view myself as expert. I'm just a professor here. But I like the idea of integrate research with teaching. I do believe that they're the essential part. But in reality, we often, of course, depending on the specific field, we tend to separate. Okay, teaching is teaching. I'm doing my research on my research program, I'm teaching this course, but we tend to separate. But I think sort of responding to your questions, how we can, kind of help our students to start from the students to integrate, even though the student may never think of going in the future, they can be a researcher. But I think for college education, it is important to train, to implement this scientific mindfulness, I call it, by engage them in research. by reading, by they actually do some research. I think you touch, you connect with me about the point that we agree, we're on the same page, that to help students enhance their interest, to develop, to expand, to develop their interest in research, also self-efficacy. I think that the fact that you spend a lot of time with students and trying to help them to understand, and so I think that's an excellent way to help them enhance their research self-efficacy. Believe me, this is my more than decades of teaching experience, research experience. Students, many of the students are more capable than they think they can with respect to research. Okay, so that means we as professor, we need to do something extra. Spend more time when they show some interest in the research. Do not quickly dismiss. Do not say, "Oh, that's nothing to do with my area. I'm not sure." Do not dismiss. Listen to them. Okay, and whenever possible, encourage them. Cultivate their interest. Give them some articles. And
I agree with you.
Read.
I want to ask you one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
I want to ask you one more question. Sometimes along the way, I find students who could be potentially wonderful doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very well versed, very well focused, and all of that. But for some reason, they don't want to continue. And it breaks my heart. Sometimes I spend half an hour, 1 hour, but then I give up. There's so much you could try to encourage a student. The question here is, do you feel as lecturer, it's our responsibility to keep trying until the student truly give up and say no? Or should we just indicate that they are and stop at there and let them be what they want to be? Okay,
well, thank you. That's a good question. I mean, they're different students. I don't think, I don't think it's my responsibility for them to get on whatever I want them to do. Ideally, yes, I would like them to develop this research orientation for scientific mindfulness. But again, students have their own minds, their own ideas, their own trajectory, even though I tried, and my effort may not pay off. I do see my efforts pay off for students, my advisees, and Kari Kopp as an example, other students as an example. I do see, when I work with them, engage them in a good rapport relationship, help them to increase their research self-efficacy, it's pay off. But I do have students, I tried, I sometimes saw their potentiality, but I think I would respect that. And,
okay, so you would say just signal it and walk away.
Yeah,
that's good enough for us.
That's saying, I'm not their parents, even though I'm their parents, their idols. But I will let them know. I think it's important to say, I saw that potentiality. I would encourage you to think about this, but I won't force them to do. So there's always a wide range of students. So you just cannot get everyone on the same page in terms of engagement in research, reading research. Okay, and so I think I would, that's the reality. We just, we just have this amount of time. We don't have a lot of time. So maybe in that case, if you identify some students like are more willing to explore, then spend more time with them. Some students, if they're not.
It's just I have this mentality, no student left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel I get burnt because I try to keep pushing them to the best they can be.
I think this is not just you and me. I hope this is more professors. Okay, and even starting from high school, not in college. And so if somebody kind of start to kind of to implement this scientific mindfulness research to help them to enhance their research self-efficacy earlier. That might be, another long-term solution. Not just wait, until in my class they're doing this. I'm requiring them to do research, to read articles. But if every professors are in university, they make this as integrative as much as possible. Maybe that would be easier for maybe for students is, so naturally I'm getting in research, even though I don't choose to become a professor or a researcher, but it is important to consume that research. So as long as we can spread that spirit, ideas into students, I think that would be successful. We just cannot at this time to come, to everyone will be able. No, I would say that would be difficult. And plus we're busy. We have many other pressure, tenure, promotion. A lot of it's just not possible. Thank you, Dr. Salam, for your inputs, for your comments. Good work. I'm happy to find that you're actually doing many of the things I've been doing. Good to know that. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. There's some other.
Yeah, it looks like we have a little bit short on time here, but we do have 2 things left in that Q&A.
Okay. I see student success, a collaborative effort between student and professor. If the student does not cooperate, we cannot. Yeah, that's what I mean. Jane, respond to Dr. Salam's question. Yeah, we just, that's not our, but we try our best. Sometimes we try our effort pay off. Some may not, but don't be disappointed. Okay, and eventually you will find this is rewarding experience. And when you see, I have students give me feedback. I say, how important, Dr. Xie, when I was undergraduate students, you said this and this, you encouraged me to do this. That make me, that's important. Student didn't say that at that time, but later on they email me, tell me, that's a rewarding experience for me. You never know, your impact on your students. Okay. I saw Henry with integrating research for undergrad. Your year 1, year 2 students, would it be useful to have the students compare 2 or 3 recent research studies as a group, assign so on? That's a good idea. I mean, depending on the specific area or how much research experience or research knowledge they have, maybe that's sounds like more advanced year when students already taking some research class, like in psychology. If you're a psychology major, you have to take research method or some statistic. Will be better to wait. But for freshmen, you may assign them some project that does not require profound knowledge of research statistics, but it's some general like research validity, internal validity, external validity, teach them what is research. Well, that is easy to understand, and so ask them to compare those type of things. So they can become critical. Okay, I think it's important to develop students' critical thinking. This is a good way, it's hey, there are 2 research, this research validity, internal, external, comments on that. So I think that would be good. It's really depending on areas, depending on the level of research knowledge required to do that assignment. But it's a good assignment. I think it's really good. Yeah. Good. Thank you. 谢谢你 Henry. Thank you. Okay. I think that's other question, comments. I enjoy, even though I didn't listen much of you talking, but I saw your response in the chat box, your question Q&A. I'm thrilled. Oh, good. At the beginning, I shared with Sarah, what if nobody comes, right? So am I still going to do this? I'm surprised we have 20-something, colleagues. I enjoyed, and good. I think the fact that you all come here, that you recognize the importance of this topic. I do want like as many professor, faculty kind of realize this and start to think about ways to do this, to incorporate studies and in their research. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
thank you so much. Looks like we're pretty much out of time here, but thank you, Professor Shi, for presenting and all of the wonderful information you've shared with us, and everyone for attending today. Glad that we were able to have such an interesting discussion. If you or any of your fellow instructors are interested in presenting for this sort of learning and growing webinar series, you can submit your proposals to our website, which I'll go ahead and paste into the chat now. And if you have any questions, you can also direct them to us at marketing@hawkslearning.com, and we will be emailing you all a link to view this recording of the webinar once it is available. But thank you all again, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for helping me with this webinar, and thank you for my colleagues. I don't know you, but I feel we have a connection out there. Thank you very much, and I hope we can connect more. I have my email there. You can email me, and so we can all, kind of realize this is important. We can do something together, hopefully later on. Okay, thank you very much for your time for coming today. Okay, good. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.